Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we are already at hometown dates. Already, I know. The season went like that. I am excited to say that I definitely enjoyed this episode way more than this entire season. It was much more entertaining for me. Maybe it's because I finally got to see the infamous Raquel. Anyone else excited about that? All right, let's get started. Okay, so if you guys remember, we left off with Nick sending Christina home. The girls were really nervous. They felt like they were not secure in their spot. Nick ends up coming back and lets the girls know that he had to do this and that he was actually very excited and felt very secure with the 4 girls left, and he offered them each a rose right then and there. So no rose ceremony. He basically didn't want to put Christina through a rose ceremony because he already knew that he didn't want to be with her. So he was just gonna let her down on her own, not in front of the girls, skip the rose ceremony, and give each of the girls their rose right there. If you guys remember, Raven already had a rose, but because of all the crazy that's going on in this episode, he wanted to give her a rose again to make sure that she indeed wanted him to come to her hometown. So the first hometown date is with Raven, and if you guys remember, she is from Hoxie, Arkansas. She shows up to pick up Nick in an ATV, and she takes him to these large cylinder, I guess they're bins. I can't say in Los Angeles I've ever seen these, so please forgive me. I've only lived in Los Angeles. But in Arkansas, there are these huge bins that I guess are full of grains. I'm sorry, I may sound so dumb to you guys. Don't judge me. But she takes him to these big grain bins. She says that it's tradition that whenever you've had a meaningful conversation with someone that you have to go up to the top and sign it. Well, apparently that is off limits. I guess it's probably trespassing on property that you're not supposed to be trespassing on. So they walk up the stairs to the top of the grain bin. Mind you, I mean, this thing is huge. What would you say, like 50 feet? And they go up top, and as soon as they get up to the top, a cop car comes pulling up with its sirens on, so you know they're kind of in deep shit right now. They come down, the cop is asking who are they, how'd they get up there, do they know they're not supposed to be up there, who allowed them up there, and you can tell Nick is a little bit nervous. Okay, we all know it's very staged, but Nick still looked a little bit nervous. The cop asks both of them for their IDs. They don't have any because they were just in the ATV. The cop recognizes that Nick does not have a southern accent, so he says, you're clearly not from here, and he makes a little joke about how he knows this girl, obviously meaning Raven, because Raven has given him a lot of trouble throughout the years. Turns out it's Raven's brother, her older brother, who is now a cop, obviously for their city, and wanted to play a little trick on him and introduce himself that way. They get to meet, and obviously they didn't get in trouble. From there, they both get their own ATVs. They are going through the mud. I mean, this is one dirty date. There is mud flying everywhere. She's covered in mud. They jump in the mud. They're kicking the muddy water. They're in the muddy water, making out. That is one girl that is not afraid of getting dirty. So they go back to Raven's parents' house, where again, Nick gets to meet her brother, her mom, and her dad. And they sit them down, and immediately they say that they want to tell them some important news. Of course, Raven's getting very nervous because if you guys remember, Raven's dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. So I think she was probably concerned or worried that it might have been bad news. And it turns out that her dad is completely cancer-free. Raven, of course, got super emotional to hear that. She kind of made a joke and said she didn't expect to cry this early. And she opened up right then and there about how she hoped to have the same relationship that her parents do because they set such a good example for her and her brother, and how she's so lucky to have her dad because she knows exactly now what to look for in a husband. She feels grateful that she was able to take Nick to both of her parents because she said a couple months before that she didn't know if her dad was still going to be around. It was a really sweet, touching moment that they all got to experience together. Raven and her dad go outside to have a little one-on-one time, and again, they just bond there, and they are both expressing how happy they are that her dad is here and healthy and that he will be able to walk Raven down the aisle, that he gets to see this really important time in Raven's life, whether it is with Nick or with someone else. He's just grateful that he's here. I definitely don't get the vibe that Raven is the type of girl that's on the show just for the fame. Like, she's there because she wants to find her person. Raven talks to her mom one-on-one and says that she really did not expect to feel this way about Nick, that she is truly falling in love with Nick, but she's so scared to say it because she obviously doesn't want to get hurt. She recognizes there are 3 other girls here that Nick has great connections with. Nick has a little one-on-one time with her dad, and her dad said that he did not expect to like him as much as he did. However, her dad did say that he was pleasantly surprised and that he would give Nick his blessing to ask his daughter's hand in marriage. So at the end of the date, Raven decides that she needs to tell Nick how she feels, yet she said something like she has no hesitation with what's going to come of this. But, you know, that's really confusing. Could she have not just said, hey, I'm falling for you? So the next hometown date is with Rachel, and as you guys know, Rachel lives in Dallas, Texas. She picks up Nick and immediately takes him to church. She says that church has always been a big part of her life, and she wants Nick to experience the way that she grew up. They go to church, they walk inside, and the pastor greets them and welcomes them. Obviously, they know Rachel because she's grown up there, and so they introduce Rachel and Nick, Rachel's boyfriend. They asked Nick if he had ever been to a church like this because Nick was the only white person in the church, and Nick had said no, but Nick also let us know that his parents were religious and that he grew up in a church as well, so it wasn't too different for him. The whole time in church, they both looked so comfortable, and I just felt like their connection was so natural. It almost looked like they had been together for years just because they seemed so comfortable with each other. They seem more comfortable with each other than Nick does with any of the other girls. After that, they talk a little bit about how they obviously know that they are an interracial couple, but that it doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is their connection, and obviously their connection is undeniable. So Nick goes to meet her mom, her 2 sisters, her brother-in-law, her nephew, and her cousin. They are extremely welcoming to Nick. Nick and Rachel go and they talk to Rachel's sister, her older sister, and her brother-in-law, and her brother-in-law is white as well. And they just talk about the challenges that they may face as a couple, as an interracial couple. And again, I think Rachel and Nick are so confident about each other at this point that it doesn't matter. The whole family did ask Nick, though, if he had had any experience in interracial dating, and Nick had said that he has been on a couple dates, but never anything as serious as Rachel. So then it's time for Nick to talk to Rachel's mom one-on-one, and Rachel's mom is a little bit concerned as well that they are able to take on the challenges that they may face as an interracial couple. He feels if they do have challenges in front of them, that handling them together will only make them a stronger couple and will solidify the bond that they have. He says that he loves Rachel's big personality and recognizes how much he cares for Rachel already. The one thing that really stood out for me was that when Rachel and her mom started talking, Rachel's mom said that Nick really reminded her of her own husband, and she felt confident with Rachel's judgment. The next hometown date is with Corinne. Now, this is basically Corinne's first one-on-one with Nick. She picks him up and says that she wants to take him to a place where she is most comfortable at, which is the mall. They go shopping. Now, I'm not totally judging because I am a girl that likes to shop. However, there are so many things to do in Miami. You took him shopping? She takes him shopping and not only has him try on thousands of outfits, she buys him an outfit that's $3,000, $3,400, whatever. She buys him a very fancy outfit. Nick even comments about how he has anxiety because, yeah, sounds like she's gonna be your sugar mama. After she buys him his outfit, they sit down and Corinne feels like it's her time to tell him that she is in love with him. They start kissing and she was so excited. They then go to meet her mom and dad, her sister, and Raquel. I know all of us We're very excited to meet Raquel. So her dad pulls her aside, wants to get filled in, wants to know how she feels, and she lets her dad know that she's already told him that she loves him. He makes a little bit of a comment like, already? She just knows what she wants, and what she wants is Nick. Her dad asks what Nick does for a living and makes it known that Corinne might be the breadwinner of the two, and wants to make sure that Corinne's okay being the breadwinner, that Corinne's okay with Nick being home with the kids. Oh, and then I forgot. Nick made a little comment saying that if he ends up with Corinne, he's gonna have to take on a couple jobs in order to keep up with her. During this time, Nick and Raquel are talking, and Nick explains he really cares for Corinne, but the situation is really hard because there are 3 other women involved. He wants to be sure about his decision, and Raquel lets us know that Corinne is like her daughter. She doesn't want to see Corinne hurt. She wants the best for Corinne. She feels that Corinne is such a great girl and wants to make sure that she's gonna be okay. Now, I get a little more of an understanding of Raquel. So, in the beginning of the season when we found out that Corinne had a nanny, I personally thought, and maybe you guys thought, that she had just hired this nanny recently to take care of her. However, Raquel has been in the family, I think they said for 17 years. So basically, she's watched Corinne grow up. Now it's time for Nick and Corinne's dad to have a one-on-one, and Corinne's dad was basically questioning him about his work. And okay, we get it. Corinne has expensive taste. I think that Nick, after today's date, 100% knows that. So no need to kind of just shove it in his face again that he probably doesn't make enough money for Corinne. Her dad lets Nick know that he did have a talk with Corinne, and Corinne said that she was okay being the breadwinner, but he just wants to see his daughter happy. I can't imagine being Nick at that moment and feeling confident about myself. Because in plain words, you just showed him he doesn't make enough money. It didn't affect Nick too much because Nick said overall he really enjoyed the date. He felt that it went really well. Corinne definitely feels the same way. She's so giddy and excited and just head over heels for Nick. The last hometown date is with Vanessa, and as you guys know, Vanessa lives in Montreal, Canada. So I definitely think this was one of the sweetest dates that Nick had been on. Vanessa takes Nick to her work, and as we all know, Vanessa works with special needs students, and so she brings him to her job where he gets to meet all of her students, and they are the same students that made Nick that scrapbook. It was one of the most touching moments because you got to see how much of an impact Vanessa makes on her students and how loved she is by them and how much she loves them and how much she cares for them. They make another scrapbook, so Vanessa had collected all of their pictures from this season and brought them, and they got to create another scrapbook for the both of them filled with all of their memories. And it was just there that we got to see how down to earth Vanessa really is. We had just come off from the hometown date with Corinne, who just spent $3,000 on his outfit, and both Vanessa and Rachel want to show really important parts of their lives that actually really meant something to them. That's why Vanessa and Rachel are my favorite girls. So they make their scrapbook. Her students are so welcoming and loving to Nick as well. After that, Vanessa lets Nick know that she is gonna take him to her mom's house first because her parents are divorced. So first at her mom's house, she lets Nick know that he is gonna meet 15 family members. Nick has a lot coming to him. I couldn't even tell you, but I know there were grandparents, there were cousins, there were brothers, there were sisters, there was her mom, there were some friends. There was quite a large group meeting Nick. All of them were a little concerned though. She lives in Canada, Nick lives in the United States. They live in 2 different countries, and that's something that they never even had talked about. Vanessa's sister was concerned that if Nick hurts her, that she will kill him. Vanessa is obviously such a good girl. Her mom said it, her brother said it, her sister said it. She always puts everyone first. They're worried that Vanessa is gonna get hurt. And Nick definitely felt all of their concerns because he did say that the date wasn't as smooth as he had hoped it would be. From there, Nick goes to meet her dad and her stepmom, where that again did not feel very smooth. Vanessa's dad is definitely a tough one. He also doesn't want to see Vanessa get hurt. He acknowledges that there are 3 other women in the picture. I think Vanessa's dad and stepmom are also concerned that they are not really living in the real life. It's like they've been on a big vacation. Both sides of the family are concerned what happens after The Bachelor. What happens when all of this disappears? Nick tries to tell her dad that he and Vanessa have this level of trust and connection and wants to get his blessing if he were to ask for her hand in marriage. And her dad immediately shuts it down and says, "Did you ask the other parents of the other girls for their blessing?" And Nick is like, well, you can tell he was trying to dance around it. And her dad was just like, no, it's a yes or no question. I'm pretty sure he asked them all for their blessing. He wants to know what it means to him to get a blessing. He wants to make sure that Nick knows exactly what he's getting into. And Nick explains, we'll only make this commitment if he knows 100% that this is what he wants. I guess Nick did enough convincing because eventually her dad does give him his blessing. Vanessa's dad then pulls Vanessa aside and they start talking, and Vanessa expresses that she is in love with Nick. If Nick were to ask her to marry him, that she would say yes in a second, that she has no doubts and no concerns. Vanessa's dad did let Vanessa know that he had asked for his blessing, and Vanessa was so surprised and was so excited about it because she felt that meant she was important. And then she said something like, well, did you ask him if he asked all the rest of the parents? Because that would be a game changer. And Vanessa's dad said, yes, he did. So it's at the end of the date where she's just questioning herself and she's scared. She doesn't feel important anymore. She doesn't feel secure anymore. So they all end up going back to their hotel in New York, as well as Nick. When Nick gets a knock at the door, he opens the door and it's ANDI. ANDI, his ex-girlfriend. ANDI, who dumped him for Josh Murray. What are you doing there? And that's where they left off. To be continued. So that's it for this week's recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd love to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think about the hometowns. Who do you think is going to be sent home? I'm assuming it's Rachel, considering, she's our next bachelorette. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Corinne is still gonna make it to the fantasy suite date night? But what is gonna happen with ANDI? Why is ANDI here? I'm sure that's gonna stir the pot a little bit. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I post these recaps every single Wednesday, and then I post other fun videos once the Bachelor, Bachelorette stuff is done. Also, make sure to share this with all of your friends that love the Bachelor, Bachelorette stuff as much as me. And I will see you guys all next week. Bye.